This week, TakeOver WarGames, Ken Shamrock returns, WWE announced 2 new shows, and Cody versus Walter in Australia. Welcome to Staring at the Lights with Rob, Tom and Ethan.
Hiya.
We've been away for a week or two, so this is the first one we've done in a couple of weeks. Yeah, the last one was out. Not
1 week.
Tuesday gone, Tuesday before.
Been on holiday.
We're having a bit of holiday time.
We had a little hiatus.
Went down to Canberra Sands in a camper.
Because we were all busy. But we're back, and there's a lot happened since we've been back. I suppose the thing we'll start with is an old veteran of the UFC and WWE game, Ken Shamrock, has announced that he's back, and he will be returning to the wrestling ring again.
Oh, I hope it's Royal Rumble.
Well, this is the thing is, like, I don't think he's going to Royal Rumble, because if he was, he wouldn't have announced it.
Oh, I don't know. They announce everything.
I think that's him trying to be like, book me WWE, get me back.
Well, yeah, his first match he's having back is on the 30th of November in Australia against Gabriel Wolf, and it's for the Battle Championship Wrestling promotion in Australia. But this is a quote from him that starts, WWE is something I'm looking at, Shamrock says. Definitely have been throwing little feelers out there to get an opportunity because I have achieved everything that I have set out to do in every organisation except the WWE.
Debatable.
I didn't get the world title. I got everything else but that.
Debatable.
There's something unfinished business in there. So I've always kind of been throwing feelers out there saying, listen, I'd like to go back and get a run at the title.
Hang on,
but
can we just rewind a little bit? So he wants to come back and either beat Daniel Bryan or Brock Lesnar for the world title. How old is he?
He's in his mid-50s, isn't he?
You didn't look it up?
No.
Brilliant. Okay.
I mean,
he's old.
he's got to be like 50
He looks well,
odds.
though. He does look well.
Well, of course he does, because, I mean, he's just a fucking mass of muscle with a couple of eyes poked in
Do you
there.
know what this could be, though? I think I said this a few weeks ago. I want someone in WWE that we said that was like...
Gunslinger.
You know, like, yeah, well, pretty much. But, you know, like in
He's 54,
the animated Batman cartoons, and there's one, and what was it called? The Dark Knight Returns or something?
Dark Knight Returns.
And
big old-
he's in his 50s, and he's
I
old.
don't watch that nerdy stuff.
He's massive, and his suit don't really fit him, but he's still got... He's like, you know, like Big Show's got them big abs that are like...
It's like...
he's a big lad, but he's still in shape.
I like to call him Fabs.
Yeah.
He's like
well, they are, but that's what
well-known hard man,
that's
isn't
what
he?
I want. So
No,
I
he
want
is a
someone like
well-known
that
man.
who's like a...
Old,
Bit of a dad.
Yeah.
grizzled. A bit like the guy from Sin City, Marv, that big...
Yeah,
like, you want that...
yeah.
I also don't know what that is. But
Fucking hell, Ethan.
I know.
Jesus.
Go and watch some telly. That's not only Fools and Horses.
it's not only fools, mate. I don't want to know about it. Don't want to know about it.
No, I get what you mean. And like, he was a very underrated wrestler back in the day. I
Yeah.
think, anyway. I thought
Yeah.
he
He
could
was
handle
good.
himself
Like,
in the
yeah,
ring.
he was.
really
He was
good.
wicked.
And he's a legitimate hard man.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah.
Well, I'll read you the last line of his quote, and this probably puts it all into context.
Go on.
I'd like to go back and get a run at the title, but no response up to this point. But we'll see what happens.
I thought you were going to read his tweet out. Have you got a copy of that?
No, let me
Right.
I will find it because it is
Find that tweet.
absolutely.
Because it's,
You got to read it in the
hilarious.
punctuation that you wrote. There as well.
honestly,
Do it in his voice, Robin. Not
if
your
you had
Manchester voice
no
as well.
understanding, like dyslexia or anything aside, if you had no understanding of how the English language works, like, and you just thought these keys here, these punctuation keys, are just for show, this is what it's like. You're just bashing them all in.
If you had no understanding of the English language, then you wouldn't understand any of it.
Mate, that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
It
but, you
looks,
wouldn't,
it's
yeah, but I could write a perfect sentence and you wouldn't understand it.
borderline unreadable, mate.
Well,
Look at this.
We'll read what it says.
Listen.
I am, full stop, putting the wrestling world on notice. I am coming back, capital U, and then brackets, cannot stop me until I have the HVW built. B-A-L-T, close brackets.
B-A-L-T?
Yeah.
Bal or
I think he's trying to say belt, but
B-E-A-L-T or B-A-L-T?
B-E-A-L-T.
Okay, you said B-L, and then you spelt it as Bal.
B-E-A-L-T.
There we go.
Bacon, egg, avocado, lettuce, tomato.
So he wants to win the BL.
That's what he wants.
He wants to win the
that
BL.
big sandwich.
Okay. I mean...
Have you got Randy Orton's reply? Fucking hell. He's been minced up, that kid.
But I guess when you've had your head kicked in for as long as he has, then I kind of let him off with his spelling.
Oh, aye.
Looking at some of his other tweets, though, they're all like, the grammar, I mean, he must be getting someone else to do them, but the grammar's perfect.
What has happened? This is a mystery. We need to delve deeper.
I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. He's having his
We'll
match
keep
next
an eye on
week,
it.
well, he's having his match
Keep
in
an eye on it.
by the next time we record, he'll have had his match, so we'll see how well it's gone. and whether
Well,
these dreams have gone.
grand.
Also,
Can't wait for that.
talking of Royal Rumble and talking of a different wrestler that also was back in the days of,
Days of yore.
WCW, WWF. David Arquette was talking to ESPN the other day.
But Ethan, as in Courtney Cox Arquette,
As in,
ex-husband.
that's the one.
Wow.
So he said, on the Royal Rumble, he said, it would be a dream. What this whole experience has been for me, because he's been wrestling recently, like he's been back in the wrestling ring. He put, it would be what this whole experience has been for me, a dream come true. It would be just an honour to be in the same ring as a lot of these guys, to be included in what would be a nice way to feel like I didn't dishonour the business.
Oh.
That's really sweet from old David Arquette.
I suppose, because when he had his sort of WCW thing and it was like...
He just won the title,
and it was
didn't
the
he? He was,
title and he was awful.
He was
and,
really shit.
Yeah,
He was just a star at that point. He was just a celebrity. But it's nice to see that he's like... I mean, I guess he probably did respect the business at the time, but he's like grown to...
His commitment.
Love the business, and he's like grown to realise that what he did in the WCW days was awful. Like, and it wasn't probably, obviously it wasn't his choice. He got booked to win the title, but I reckon he feels really bad about what happened. So it's nice to see him.
He's probably gone from like a fan and what a fan expects it to be like to actually I've experienced it, and this is what it is like. And he looks in good nick. That fan.
He looks wicked.
Photo of him recently after that match is awful because he's covered in blood.
So speaking of David Arquette, he was at Joey Janela's, what was it called? Like Lost in LA or something like that. I don't know what it's called. So a guy called Nick Gage,
murderer,
who just to put it out there, Nick, if you're listening,
it's not been proven.
I like you. I have no qualms with you, Nick. I don't want to die. But he had a death match with David Arquette.
Emphasis on death.
So yeah, Nick Gage is a death match. He's a death match wrestler. He's been to prison for, I believe, armed robbery. He came out not too long ago. Came straight back into wrestling. He had a match with David Arquette. Death match. That was the first death match David Arquette ever experienced against Nick Gage of all people.
Surely he's watched one though to know.
I will assume he'll have watched. He'll have done a bit of research before he got in there. But essentially, what happened was Nick Gage hit him with a light tube, which bust over his head. I think it scared David a little bit. So he kind of he fought out of it almost like in a shoot style and pushed Nick Gage back. And in doing that, Nick Gage was holding the broken light tube and kind of slashed him against the neck. And it left a huge fucking hole.
Big hole.
Like, it left a big hole in his neck.
Horrible puncture.
And David Arquette flipped over and he's holding his neck and he's holding Nick Gage down and staring at him in the eyes, and you could tell he was genuinely terrified. And he tried to get out of the ring to try and find medical attention, I would assume.
So he doesn't die.
Couldn't find anything at all. Realised that you can't just leave a match.
I mean,
you can, but it doesn't really leave it in a good light. It just kind of he got out the ring.
If you're about to die, it's all right to leave.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't going to die. It was a hole in his neck, but he wasn't going to die.
You never know.
You never know. He was losing blood. And you could tell he was genuinely terrified. And then he got halfway out the ring, or he got to the entrance ramp and realised maybe I should kind of go back. So he goes back to the ring. There's a bit of an awkward kind of shoot fight between him and Nick Gage. David Arquette grabs a chair and gives a huge receipt for the hole in his neck by just throwing the chair half open at Nick Gage really hard. They have a little bit of a scuffle. Nick Gage almost judo throws him down into a cover. And it was the 1, 2, 3, and he doesn't sell it. He just gets up and gets out of the ring and runs away. And then on Twitter afterwards, he was saying, I think the tweet was, "I'm never doing that again" or something like that.
I've seen a clip of him giving him quite a stiff shot as well, and legitimately
it was a proper
rocking
shoot.
him.
Yeah, it was a shoot fight. I mean, he did a brilliant cutter through some light tubes to Nick Gage.
It was fantastic. Yeah.
But then it was funny because afterwards, I think his mum's on Twitter. And I don't think she understands deathmatch wrestling doesn't mean you die at the end, and she kind of tweeted, "I'm so glad my David is still alive and okay," and stuff like this, and he replied and he's like, "I'm fine, don't worry," or something like that. And it's just really cute.
It's not real, man.
Just lost about 4 pints of blood.
Yeah. There's a photo of him afterwards, and to be fair, as bad as it is, he looks mint. He's got blood running down his face, a big hole in his neck.
It's a great shot.
It's a wicked photo.
So good.
But he wants to pay back to the business, so what better way to do it than get in there
he's
with
paid it back now.
Probably one of the worst humans of all time, Nick Gage, in the ring with him.
It's weird, with sort of people like him, and it's almost the same as he was like that, weren't he? New Jack was like that. That he gets
New Jack was a piece of shit.
But he gets they get booked for these matches, and there's no intention of having a sort of a kind of a match. Yeah, it's just I'm just going to beat the shit out of you.
I don't know. I mean,
I've seen stuff with New Jack before. We stabbed someone.
Yeah, New Jack kind of paid his due. I mean, he would take. He was a good wrestler. And he would take as much as he gave, definitely. But then there were certain situations
when he murdered that kid.
When he murdered the child, well, he didn't kill him, but he tried to kill a child. The child got in the it was called a mass transit incident.
Mass transit.
That was the guy. That was the guy. That was the wrestling.
What a name!
I'm 17 and I'm fat, so
he was 17
give me a bus
or
driver's
16 or 17.
uniform,
So he was like, he went to the show, and Paul Heyman supposedly didn't know his age. He told him he was legal and he was 18.
And he'd had matches before.
He'd had matches before. He'd never wrestled a day in his life. He got in there with New Jack, and then New Jack realised he wasn't an actual wrestler. So the logical next steps for New Jack were to take a screwdriver and plough it about 6 inches deep into his head and just almost kill the boy.
The story with that was that I don't know his real name, so we'll just call him Mass Transit. He wanted to
mass.
He wanted to bleed. But
he asked for colour.
He was
so he asked
afraid
New
to
Jack,
do it himself.
He asked New Jack for colour, and he was like, "All right, I'll give you colour," and he nearly killed him. Absolutely incredible.
The story there was afterwards when he's on the stretcher out, and his parents were there, and they were going absolutely insane. His parents and this lad's laid on the gurney going out, and he went, "It's all right, I'm one of the boys."
Yeah,
one of the boys.
Yeah. He went to court. They went to court about
tried
that.
To sue him. Tried to sue Paul Heyman, but I don't think they got anything.
I mean, he don't die. That's cool as shit.
Well,
I'd love to have that. I
don't know.
Transit.
The sad part about it is that he isn't with us anymore. That lad.
Yeah.
He had
New Jack caught up with him and finished the job.
He died after he had a gastric bypass operation to lose weight, and he died after complications of that. So.
That's not funny. That's not what I'm laughing at.
Rest in peace, Matt Transit.
Rest in peace, Matt Transit. I'm not laughing at that. It's just funny that he got in there. He thought it was a good idea to get in the ring with New Jack. You got to give him balls. Like, if it was my first match and I ever wrestled it in my life, I'd maybe ask one of the green guys to try and drag me through a match. Not one of the notorious.
Can I not fucking wrestle Spike Dudley?
Just put me in anything. Put me in a Royal Rumble. Get me eliminated first.
Why is he holding a pair of kitchen shears?
Don't put me in there with one of the most notorious, awful human beings of wrestling. Like, New Jack did some terrible things. New Jack, there's a video of him jumping off a stage somewhere. Like, he's jumping off some kind of huge balcony, and nobody catches him. He just falls on the floor, and he's laid there, and you just think, what are you doing, New Jack? Like, what are you doing?
There was a whole big thing with him, and was he? I can't remember the other guy's name. I'm going to say Frank Grimes or something, but I don't know if that's right.
That's from The Simpsons, isn't it?
I think it might be the same name or something. I know it was something like that. So apologies for getting
what
it wrong.
What are you on about?
But there was a spot in ECW, and it's referred to as the Danbury Fall because of where it was. Right. And basically, they were on this big sort of
the huge scaffolding thing.
Yeah, that was the kind of receipt for the earlier in the year incident. So what had happened is New Jack and this other guy had done this spot over an entranceway, and they were supposed to just go over the top of it and land through a table, but this guy threw New Jack too hard, and he fractured his skull and legitimately got really hurt. So then they have this big sort of scaffolding match with all these tables
over the ring as well.
Apparently, at the top of over the ring where they'd climbed up to, New Jack had hidden a taser.
Of course he had.
Because he was going to tase this guy.
There's a video.
And then, there's a video of it,
yeah.
And then he goes to throw him over, but he said, I tried to throw him over, and I tried to get him over the ring.
He tried to kill him. He tried to kill him. He hits the ropes and
he dislocated his ankle.
I think it's 15 feet up in the air, something probably higher actually, 25 feet maybe.
Through six tables on top of each other.
Bounces off the ropes and falls onto the thing. That reminds me of also another story of Jim Cornette got involved in one of those matches once.
Yeah, I've seen this.
And he was he's hanging from he gets up there, and then somebody comes from either end, so he's stuck in the middle, he can't go anywhere, and he dangles himself from the raft, from the scaffolding, and there's some huge guy back in the Smoky Mountain days. I don't know what the wrestler's guy's the name is, but Jim Cornette's meant to fall, and this guy was meant to catch him.
Yeah.
And he lets go, and this guy just doesn't do anything at all.
He doesn't even there.
He just watches him fall, and then he hits, and his legs bend sideways.
Horrible.
And he's you can hear him wailing, you can audibly hear him wailing. He's just and the guy picks him up and just carries him away. And he's apparently Jim Cornette was afterwards. He's one of them like gentle giants. And he was like, oh shit, I'm sorry. He's holding him, carrying him out.
The clip of that is actually on the WWE network. There was a show they do called Photo Shoot, where they go back through old videos and pictures, and the guys sort of sit there. There's a really good one with Ric Flair and Charlotte Flair and stuff, and there's a good one with Jim Cornette, which is quite recent, and they show you that video, and he's like, what was I thinking? What terrible. The hell? I'm not a wrestler.
I think he popped his knee or something like that. He did something bad to himself. He hurt himself quite a lot.
I love Jim Cornette. I love him. Even with all his opinions, I just think he's great. He's brilliant.
He's a great manager.
If you have a spare 5 minutes or 10 minutes, listen to his shoot on the Dairy Queen.
Oh, Dairy Queen
incident.
So good.
It's great fun.
So good.
Kind of touching on WWE, they've announced a couple of shows this week. So there's one on Sunday the 25th, which is a Starrcade.
December?
No, November. It's going to be a Starrcade, which they did last year, but it was just kind of like a one-off. Like a glorified house show, basically. But they did it where the original, or where the last Starrcade ever was. this one they're going to do, and it's going to be on the network as well as a special. So there's a few matches announced for that.
Are they not streaming it live? I think it's like.
I don't know, but they're televising it, whereas they didn't do the first one.
No.
A lot of matches, a lot of ones that you kind of expect. It is a bit of a house show kind of thing. But one of the things that on there is that Elias is doing a performance with Ric Flair.
That'll be incredible. He doesn't get much better than that.
No,
he doesn't get much better than that. When you are the age that Ric Flair is, just to still be alive is a blessing.
For what he's been through recently,
for what he's done, for what he's
Crazy.
done in his life. So that'll be pretty funny.
That'll be amazing.
The other show is on the 1st of December, and they're doing a sort of super show in Mexico. Mexico City. So as you can probably expect, there's a lot of the
luchadores.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio's having a match with Shinsuke Nakamura for the US title.
Cool.
You've got Ronda Rousey against Nia Jax. If the heat is on Nia Jax still,
The heat is on.
That probably won't happen. Given recent incidents with anyone she faces.
She's a terrible wrestler.
She just smashes people up, doesn't she?
She does not give a shit.
A couple of the sort of maybe the standout ones would be a New Day taking on the Clones. Obviously, the Clones are from that family of running those promotions down there as well, especially in Puerto Rico and stuff. So
Puerto Rico.
Carlos Colon.
Carlos Colon. I think it was Carlos Colon's promotion when Bruiser Brody was killed as well. That was one of his promotions. That was his promotion as well. So there was a couple of shows. I don't know if they're showing the Mexico one. They probably will on the network.
I would assume so.
Yeah, it's been a market they've tried to crack for a long time, but it's tough, I suppose, when like Lucha Libre is such a cultural thing. It's kind of like it'd be like another football promotion coming over here and trying to compete with the Premier League. It's a bit of a tough one to crack because it's so intrinsic to their culture. But like, I mean, it'll still be a big deal. It'll still be good. I just hope they don't get Alberto Del Rio involved in any way, shape, or form.
No, there are matches announced, and luckily he's nowhere near that card. But Andrade Cien Almas is there, and he's
is he main eventing?
He
should be.
I think he might be. It's I think he is.
I would assume so.
I think he is.
That'd be really good.
Yeah.
Mate, they need to book Ligero on that card.
Ligero.
Lad.
I mean, he's from Leeds, but you know.
Mate, it's weird seeing him.
He's having a match against Rusev.
Andrade.
No, Andrade. At this show, sorry.
Bloody hell.
We're talking about real Mexicans, not
He's a real
not
Mexican
from
Leeds.
Jack Acid can vouch for him.
How dare
Speaking of Lucha Libre, though, they kind of do their shows in like seasons, don't they? Because it's more of like a soap opera and
what
the Lucha Libre kind of television show. They kind of do
Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground. Sorry,
it's in America, that mate.
What am I talking about here? Anyway,
Lucha Underground is in America.
Jack Swagger's the champion, anyway.
Yeah, that's in. I mean, they film it in LA, but it's like it's a Mexican themed.
I don't know if there's any Mexicans in it.
There is, surely there'll be a few.
Tell me one.
I don't watch it.
Don't know. No, I can't.
I could tell you one, Tom, but I'm not going to.
I don't feel like it today.
What else is on the cards, bobbers?
Austin Aries is having his first match.
Oh, can we just not talk about Austin Aries ever again?
I think, he won't let us because he keeps coming back and doing stuff.
Him.
And
just don't care for him anymore.
I think he's a great wrestler. I just think he's like
he's just a petulant
his fake
child.
Antics are just a bit tired now.
So he's having a watch match with what we're doing.
He's having a match in Australia, and it's the first one since his Bound for Glory match with Johnny Impact Mundo.
Johnny Impact.
Oh, that one that like
where
he just fizzled out after.
Yeah, where he kind of. Everyone was, is it a shoot, is it or not, is it, but it turns out it was a work anyway and everyone was involved with it, so everyone knew about it.
Yeah.
But he's having his first match back against...
Do you know what I think that was? I think that was like them trying to make a Montreal Screwjob type thing. It just didn't happen. Because nobody cared.
No, and yeah, you're right. I think they tried to create some kind of
heat or drama,
buzz for themselves, and it didn't work. It didn't work out. But he's having a match against Flip Gordon, who is quite entertaining, and he is a good. He is a good wrestler.
Yeah, good wrestler. Great
that
wrestler.
Is also on the 25th of November, so next Sunday. But also
big clash.
On that card is Cody versus Walter, which should be
Walter?
a great match,
mate.
First time ever as well. I think
you're paying your dues when you don't have to have a match with Walter, but you choose to.
Yeah,
that's going to be horrible for him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how it goes because Cody tweeted recently that he's got some knee injury. He's got I think he's got to have an operation in the new year, so. Maybe if he's going to have the type of match that Walter normally does, it's not going to be like flying around. Yeah, it's not going to be like flying around the ropes. It's going to be more of a strong style kind of match, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah,
I would think so.
Usually be lighter on the knees than the high flying gear. It'll be a good match though. Cody will sell the shit out of it for him. It'll be wicked.
That'd be great. Cody's also having his last match for Ring of Honor. I think it's December as well.
For the world title.
Yeah, 14th of December. It's his last one. He's tweeted saying that when he wins, he's taking the title with him into free agency. It's going to be against Jay Lethal. I think Jay Lethal was his first match at Ring of Honor, and it's going to be his last match as well.
It
so
surprised me. He's kind of like the god of fucking Ring of Honor now, Jay Lethal.
Yeah. And he's just re-signed as well, hasn't he? Jay Lethal's just re-signed.
That could all be a work as well. He could take the title and defend it elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's a funny way to look at it though, because like as much as it would be good for Ring of Honor because it would get more eyes on the product with Cody working in different. I mean, I say more eyes on the product. Anyone who watches Ring of Honor likely watches all wrestling because once you're down that rabbit hole, you're down it.
Yeah.
But how would Ring of Honor go forward without a champion? Where would they be at that point? Would they make their TV title their main thing? Like Cody obviously wouldn't be competing for the title on their shows because he's not under contract with them. Or would he come back, or how would it work?
He may just lose it.
He may just lose it. Over.
Yeah.
But, I feel like when they gave the belt to Dalton Castle, it felt like a step forward. But I love Jay Lethal, but I just feel he's been there for so long.
Been there, done that.
It's like, what are you really doing? You're not really giving him a rub by putting him over, are you?
No. That match that Cody had with Dalton Castle was really good. It was really good match.
It was.
And
if it is
deservedly put the title on Dalton Castle.
Yeah.
And he was a great champion for Ring of Honor. And then since then,
Other than the
much
Jericho
really,
Cruise,
he's just
where he
kind of
played,
dropped off, hasn't he? Really?
what do you call it? Smooth sailing.
Yeah, I did.
That was brilliant.
I reckon, you can probably call me out on this in a few weeks' time if it doesn't happen. I think somebody will probably interject themselves into that match to become a triple threat. Maybe Flip Gordon will get involved in that
Cody
match.
and Flip have been building something for a while, haven't they?
This is the thing, so I think it'll become a triple threat. Flip will be involved. Flip will win the title. It'll be a whole thing.
Was it?
That's what I'd assume.
Was it Flip versus Lethal All In? It was, wasn't it? Because Brandy came out and did the Miss Elizabeth thing, didn't they?
It wasn't All In. Flip was the sort of the guy under the mask in the over the budget, over the top battle royal. That was Flip Gordon.
Who faced Jay Lethal at All In then? Because Brandy Rhodes was there, wasn't she? Brandy came out with someone.
Why would you come out with Jay Lethal?
No, not Jay Lethal. She came out with somebody else who was facing Jay Lethal. Then she slid into the ring, and Jay Lethal picked her up like the Miss Elizabeth thing.
Brandy Rhodes is good that way.
I know, but she was escorting somebody else to the ring because she was in a little army uniform. It was Flip. It was Flip versus because he came out as Black Machismo, didn't he?
I was fairly certain Flip was in the Royal Rumble.
He was, but then he had. I'm sure he had a match against Black Machismo because
We're
Brandy
so
was
shit,
there.
aren't we? We just don't know anything about wrestling.
Maybe, I don't know, because
I've not watched All In a long time.
Honestly,
so
he picked Brandy up and
You're
she was in
probably
a
right.
little army cadet uniform.
No, you're right. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't
because he
remember.
tried to do the whole like Miss Elizabeth kind of thing. Yeah.
He does love Randy, doesn't he? Told Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've not watched it in a long time.
We will find out and we will update.
Yeah, it was against Flip
Our
Gordon.
keen. Oh yeah, there we go. I was right this time.
Yeah, right, mate.
Whee. I was right about something.
Why don't we watch enough?
I watched All In. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, it was a while ago. And
When you watch as much wrestling as we do,
Yeah.
it all becomes a blur of just people.
And it was
big
before
lads
we
in
ever kind
oil
of
and-
came up with the idea of doing a podcast as well. So we probably watched it, but never watched it with the intensity that we watch things now. Of like, I must remember to talk about that.
Yeah, it was before we even started.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was because the first podcast we did just after All In.
Oh, yeah, you wanted to talk about it, didn't you? And you
Yeah,
were like,
and you said no, it was too long ago.
It was too long ago.
Don't talk about it.
God almighty, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Time flies when you hate your life.
Can't be the tagline for this episode.
Absolutely.
Saturday night was WarGames 2 by the NXT TakeOver.
So good.
Four
So
matches,
good.
5 technically, but 4 matches on this card, and it was probably one of the best takeovers I've ever seen.
Every one of those matches, bar the little first interlude, like the
Even that was
middle
good,
thing.
though.
It was good, yeah.
Because it wasn't
But
expected.
every other one of those scheduled matches, you could easily put in the contention for match of the year. They were great matches.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anyway. I watched every single one with a level of keen intensity where I wasn't even checking anything else or doing anything else. I was just watching them. And
It was definitely one of every match was like, and we've spoke about this before, where you just don't realise that I've not been looking at my phone, I've not been looking at, I've just been staring at the TV for the whole time that this match is on, because you're just so engrossed in it.
I feel like every time they do a takeover, they kind of up themselves.
yeah.
And it's tough to do. But then I think I'm in the mindset of thinking that they're better than the ones before, and I reckon if I go back and watch the other ones, I might not think that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter either way, because they are
Consistent,
still
isn't it?
wicked matches, and they are very, very, very consistent in what they do. There's never been a kind of Well, I don't know actually. I can't remember a lackluster match on a takeover show.
No.
Really,
No,
that I can think
and
of.
I think that's what's great about, especially like with this one, that there's none of those. There's no gimmick match on there. There's no like
Toilet break.
Yeah, there's no like it's
No.
going on for this long, and then this match is in the middle, and that's
It's a nice
that's to
length
calm the
to
crowd
watch.
down. Yeah, it was only
Yeah.
like 2 hours 40.
Spot on.
It wasn't long at all.
Absolutely
No.
spot on.
It wasn't long.
It's a good length. It's like going to a show, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
it's not that long to watch.
Yeah. There may be some other, obviously for the crowd that's there might have
There'll have
been
been some
some
taping.
dark
There'll
matches
have been
or
some
something
TV.
as well.
There'll be some TV taping
Yeah.
as well. They were there definitely.
The first match the impromptu match came from the sort of the kickoff show where
Bro.
Matt Riddle appeared,
Bro.
and then Cassius Ohno came out, and then it was the whole like we're not taking each other on until next week, and then as soon as the main show started, Matt Riddle's music hit. He came to the ring, gave a bit of a promo on Cassius Ohno. Cassius Ohno came out, rang the bell, knee to face, got the 3. That was it.
It just speaks.
I'm really good.
It
I'm
speaks
brilliant.
volumes about NXT the way there's no formula.
No.
It's just stuff. It's like watching a real sport, because things can just happen. And I mean, that wouldn't happen in a real sport. You wouldn't get 2 boxers just come out and have a fight. But you've got to think like in a locker room full of people who are always ready to wrestle. There's a ring right out there, and they've all got beef with each other. Surely at some point they just roll into the ring and go, "Let's just have a match. Let's have a knock."
Yeah.
And it was great. It was a great introduction for Riddle to like. I mean, I know he's been around for a bit, but his first takeover. It's nice to have him on there because it seems like it would have been a waste to not have him in any capacity.
Cash just put him over the moon.
Cassius was brilliant.
We've spoke about before. He loves doing that. He's where
He
he
is-
is in
yeah, he's
NXT.
like a
He has
gatekeeper
he has no sort of like. I don't need to go up to the main roster. I don't need to be in the title
He's
picture
happy
in
with where he
NXT.
is, he's consistent.
He's happy working with these
Content
new people
as
that
well.
come in, and putting, like you say, he's putting them over. I wouldn't surprise me if they do it if they get him working along with like Keith Lee either or something like that and do a similar thing.
Probably. I think he is the man to face, isn't he, when you first start out in NXT.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt him either.
No.
He's just that
He's just good, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's
he
just
doesn't.
wicked.
He doesn't come across as like a mid carder.
No.
And he doesn't have to as well because
No.
he's got things going on with Evolve. So obviously Evolve now is signed to. It's almost like the what NXT is to WWE is like now is Evolve is like to NXT. So it's like the step up from Evolve to NXT to WWE. So there's a lot of. I mean, I think they announced the first card of the week for the Evolve show. And I think Cash is on there. Gargano might be on there. There's like just a lot of kind of NXT guys that they will send down, and then in turn they will send up some of the Evolve guys to the show.
They used
as well.
Cassius in a Progress show this year, didn't they?
Yeah, Super Strong Style. Cassius Ohno was there.
Yeah.
He got to the final. Well, the one. No,
He
sorry.
got quite far along.
I think I think Tyler Bate beat him, but then Tyler Bate got injured, so they put Cassius into the final, something like that. So yeah, he hasn't got to be stuck to NXT, and he probably won't go to the main roster. But again, I don't think he really
It's a
wants
nice
to.
place to be.
I think with Cassius Ohno, it's the proof of if you like, you're just there because you enjoy it, and you're not there with any other motive of just to. I'm here. I'm enjoying myself. I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
You'll get so much more further along, or you'll have so much more enjoyment out of your NXT career in his case than someone who's there to be like, right, I need to do this. I need to get up to make. Yeah, I need what's next. I need to get on main roster. I need to be main card in Raw or SmackDown or something. I need to be on a pay per view. I need to be on a Big 4 pay per view. It's nice that someone is there who's just like, I just love what I do, and this is perfect for me.
Hardly any
This
travel.
is exactly.
I get paid really well.
Yeah,
I get to wrestle
exactly.
the best people in the world with no one shouting down my neck or shouting down my ear, and it's almost like a guy who's in it purely for the sport. It's the dream.
Yeah.
Because unless
Yeah, because he wants to be, not because he has to be or
because he
pushing.
loves wrestling.
Yeah, it's great.
It was cool. It was cool.
I suppose the sort of actual opening match on the card was the Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane.
Great match.
The fifth match of their series.
Didn't feel like it though.
No,
Still
and this
felt
doesn't
fresh.
really happen that much. You normally get a 3-match series. I know we had AJ against Samoa Joe at the sort of Crown Jewel thing, but that was just a one-off because Daniel Bryan pulled out and didn't want to go. But to have a series of 5 matches and none of them were duds. They were all really good.
Yeah.
And great to have like a 2 out of 3 falls. I think the pacing for this match and the whole card in itself was just 100 mile an hour from the off.
It was.
and it never let up.
Yeah, it didn't slow down.
What I really liked about it, and the fact it was 2 out of 3 falls, when I was watching it, and like Kyrie started off on a really good foot, and then Baszler just as soon as her mates came out, Duke and
Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir.
As soon as they came out, and I just watched it as if, is this going to be a match where Baszler just buries her like 2 straight falls? Because the way it was like watching a boxing match or like a UFC match. Because I felt like this could be something where you've got the person you're supporting, but they're just getting mauled. Yeah. And she was literally like, she's just going to choke her out. She kept rolling out and nearly getting out, and then there's no way she's going to come back from it. But the way they worked it and the way they managed to turn the tide, and it was paced perfectly, like you say.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
There was a reversal that Sane did on Baszler on the apron where she turned into a DDT.
Oh man,
that was just unbelievable.
So good.
It didn't look very nice.
It didn't look very nice. I don't think she.
It was safe. Yeah,
it was safe because she protected herself quite well when she went down. Baszler
took it on the back of the shoulders.
It just looked. That was, I think at that time it's kind of like past 12, and my missus is upstairs in bed, and I'm like going, oh Jesus Christ, shouting downstairs while we're watching it. But I thought it was great. Even though so Baszler's like, she's like 3-2 up now, I think, on this series. She's retained the title.
I think that'll probably be it for this.
I think it would be, but I don't think I'd be disappointed if they have another one.
I wouldn't. I'd love to see it. I think Kairi Sane's one of the most exciting female performers in the whole company. She's got the kind of the selling ability of Sasha Banks, but the way she hits her moves, obviously the comparison to Asuka's there because she's hard hitting. But I just think,
but she's just because she's so small.
It's so much nicer to watch as well.
Yeah.
Like those clotheslines she hits, like when they're at the bottom of the rope.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, that elbow is amazing.
Yeah,
like, it's good.
It's one of the best sort of elbows from the top that you'll see. The height that
incredible.
She gets and
the
way it looks is unbelievable.
But, something that came to my mind though, obviously it now seems to be a bit of a 3-on-3 thing with Dakota Kai and Io Shirai getting involved. I mean, it kind of puts the seed in your head of a women's WarGames match at some point. That could be something we might see. It's Io Shirai.
Io Shirai, yeah. It's not Lo Shirai, it's Io Shirai, yeah.
Because I've only ever seen it written.
Yeah, I haven't know, yeah. The more you know.
Io Shirai. I know, it sounds weird, doesn't it?
I think you're right, though. I think that does, maybe next year we'll have a women's WarGames match, and why not?
I hope not.
I hope not.
I don't know, maybe good. I like him.
We'll talk about it in a bit, but I'm just not a big fan of WarGames.
Yeah.
Next on the card was Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano.
Great fight.
This was amazing. Every match on this card was almost.
Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What do you think I said?
I thought it wasn't what you said. I just heard you in the wrong way. It's fine.
Sorry,
team.
Great match, but with a really good. It's not for a title or it's not for anything, but it's such a good backstory to it. Yeah. Really good.
What sold it on me was how this is the first time you've really seen Aleister Black in trouble on a one-on-one match.
Yeah.
It was the whole thing of Gargano realizing, the psychology wasn't there for him. He doesn't have the mind game side of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'd go for his little sit-out thing, but Gargano was already on the other side of the ring to come and kick him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And it felt like Black was more rattled than Gargano was.
Yeah.
Which is a complete switch around from how Black's matches usually are.
You're used to seeing him, being 2 steps ahead of everyone who he takes on. And even in the match where he had with Velveteen Dream, where Dream kind of slides back into the ring and Aleister Black sat there cross-legged staring at him.
Yeah.
He's always been 2 steps ahead of everybody. But you're right, this one was this guy knows me. He scouted me. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I feel like everybody should know that he does that now, though.
Yeah, of course. It just
makes
sense.
When he hit him, I was like, well, yeah, that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He sold 2 massive DDTs to the outside that were absolutely amazing.
Crazy.
Insane.
Really, the ring work for those 2 guys was just unbelievable.
Wicked,
and I like they used. Sometimes when you have these types of matches, and we saw it last year in a WarGames one where they just pick one of the rings that's on the right and they stay in that ring, whereas this one they used both.
They just went all over.
And they kind of went all
Makes
over.
sense.
I really like that.
I was watching this match and I was actually being a massive mark, and I was watching this match in the break room at work. But the way it was sold, I had people who weren't wrestling fans looking at it going, that actually looks really painful. That was really good, because it's even stuff like when the first time they went outside of the ring and Black kind of sweeps out and he just instantly kicks Gargano in the back, and there's no hesitation there. No. It's like they're in the perfect place, and it's just he just boots him in the back, and it just looks great. And those 2 Black masses at the end,
they were perfect, because the first one he's out on his feet and he falls into Black, and then it was just that little line that the camera just picked up perfectly where he just said, "I absolve you of your sins," and then hit him with another Black mass and got the pin. I love Aleister Black, and anytime we've ever spoke about your top 5 wrestlers of all time, he's in there. He's definitely in there.
Good.
He's
really
the.
good.
I think he is the person who could be the Undertaker of this generation. Not that there will be an Undertaker, because you can't compare. You can't really get that.
No.
But he is a person who can carry this thing of you've got the best of the best, but then there's Aleister Black.
Yeah.
Because it was always like, oh, you've got the WWE champion, but then there's the Undertaker.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
who's he doesn't need a belt.
He doesn't need it.
He
Yeah, I
doesn't
was just
need
going to say that.
anything.
He doesn't need the title to be over
No.
and to get a run.
No, he doesn't.
And Black's the same. Black's the same in NXT. He doesn't need the title to be over. He was over as soon as he stepped in that ring. As soon as he came into that
Yeah.
promotion. I mean, even when he had the match with Neville way back in Blackpool for the first UK tournament, and when he came out as Tommy End, he was over then. Everyone loved
He's
him.
amazing.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was massive in the UK for quite a while anyway. When he was on the Indies, so yeah, people love him.
He looks good as well now.
Yeah,
Like,
he
he's
looked
put on
different
a lot of muscle,
last night.
like,
Yeah,
Oh, do you know what I think
he
it was?
looks
He had
he
grey
looked- he
trunks
looked a
and
bit
boots on.
tanned. He looked he had a
Yeah.
bit of grey tan.
He had
He'd
like
been down to
grey,
Baytown in Rotherham before. Yeah,
Yeah.
before
He had,
kicked off.
on the bed.
grey trunks and boots on, and I think that's what kind of made. That's what I was like. Oh, nice. And he had that cool like jacket with the horns on it and
He
stuff
looked cool.
when he came to the ring. So
Yeah, look wicked.
it was amazing, that match.
Good match.
Really good. I think the only thing that we ever think about with someone like Black, and we'll get onto like Champ and Velveteen Dream as well, is I fear what happens when they eventually get called up to the main roster. Like I don't want him to be
He
buried
needs to
and
be protected.
yeah, and Almas is on the kind of borderline of that at the minute.
The Nakamura treatment.
Yeah,
You can't think like that though,
NXT
because
champion.
you know it will happen, and you just got to accept it. Because Vince looks at every wrestler in a different way that Triple H looks at them. So
Yeah.
you just got to accept it's gonna happen.
yeah.
There's nothing you can do about
Yeah.
it. It'll happen. Like in NXT, Triple H will be looking at Aleister Black and thinking, "You are the shit.
They'll try
Like
and
you
keep
are
him
shit
down
out."
there as long as possible.
And they'll try and keep him and probably hold on to him. But then eventually, time comes, you got to go up. And then
Gotta
so for
enjoy
something
it
like
when you
Vince,
can.
who doesn't watch NXT, Vince will look at him and think, maybe 205 live for a little
Yeah.
bit. No, it's a bit. No,
I'm gonna job you out to somebody, feed you to Braun for a
Bray
bit.
Wyatt.
Obviously, obviously Triple H
Bray
will have
Wyatt's
a,
I
the
think
best
him and
example.
Triple
Bray
H
and
will
Wyatt
have
would have a good run. I think those two, because
Would
I
have great
Yeah,
miss
they would.
we don't really have that much in WWE anymore where there's kind of characters. Everyone is just that extension of themselves, and there's a lot more now where they're kind of shoot fighters that are now kind of wrestling. Matt Riddle's a good example of that, where his style is very much a striking sort of shoot style, but he's I mean, we yet to see it yet in NXT because he's just had one match and he needs someone to face and won, but he's he's got more because we've seen him in progress shows. He can wrestle,
yeah, he's wicked.
but
He's really
the
good.
fear is like they could have had Bray Wyatt could have been the next Undertaker, and they just dropped the ball on it completely.
He didn't have the body for it though. He didn't have the look.
No,
that
but he had
Vince
the
likes,
persona.
did
He had the persona.
Yeah,
of it.
no, yeah,
And
but-
I preferred.
But to be fair though, like after a bit, I got bored of Bray Wyatt just coming out and spouting the same just senseless shite that he used to spout.
Because they overexposed him.
They did
They
overexpose
did.
him.
I preferred Bray Wyatt when he had the sort of Hawaiian shirt and the white trousers.
Yeah.
When he was the
Yeah,
wailing,
wicked.
when he
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
really was obviously was taking
Cape
that
Fear.
wailing Mercy character kind of coming up.
But like when he was in
It was
the
when he
program,
starts wearing the apron and coming to the ring like he's
when he was in like the program with
something
Cena
else,
and stuff, though, you can't come out to the ring and say all that prophetic stuff and then just get beat in 10-15 minutes. Like
No,
if
you
you're gonna say
can't.
that kind of stuff, you've got to win, and then it gives you the more reason
It's
to be a
WWE booking,
maniacal
innit?
man. That
Yeah.
it's just booking, but. He, with the right booking, he still can. I'm sure he's somewhere. I haven't seen him in a long time.
He's been tweeting recently. He's been kind of tweeting these really.
Why does a
Weird
demonic
things,
cult leader have Twitter?
Yeah.
Why? Like that's just
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? I
But,
agree.
like you say, they could have a good program where it could be around Aleister Black, where he's like, I am real, like I'm a genuine, like whatever that you think you are, whatever nightmare you think you are, that's what I am, and there's nothing that you can prove it otherwise. Whereas with Bray, it could be like a lot of the falsity of it and a lot of cheating, and a lot of this crap, and he can get under his skin a little bit, but they'd have a good connection together. I do think they would, but it's just about whatever happens with Vince, because
Yeah, it's like you touched on earlier, and it come out recently, didn't it, that Vince doesn't watch NXT.
Yeah.
And I think after this pay per view, it's like I wouldn't make. Cause you'd be shitting yourself that your card or your guys can't live up to this.
But then again, would he think that that's good wrestling?
he'd probably
Would he watch it and think it were good, or would he think it were a bit shit?
Yeah, you're not giving them the show that I would give them.
I don't know.
Who
Who knows?
I don't know.
You can't call
you
Vince,
can't.
can you? He's a fucking enigma. You can't.
I'm just enjoying NXT while it's happening. I just consider
Just
that
live in the now of it, yeah. Because
NXT
it will.
is the main show. The main show is a retirement home. wrestlers who used to be good. That's
Kind
just the
of.
way I see it. I just think like once they're out of NXT,
It does feel like
who
that.
cares? They're into the old people.
It does feel like that, unfortunately.
It's a bit
at
like
times.
when you watch these like Masters football games and it's all the old boys getting back together for a bit of a run. It's almost like
Just
that.
see it
It's
as
just,
that,
it's
and
just
then you're
ticket
all
sales,
you
isn't it?
see
Really.
Robbie Fowler in a bar, he's like 15 stone and he's gassed out of his arse. Yeah, it's a bit like that.
NXT title match was not really the main event. The War Games was the main event, but the NXT title match with Tommaso Ciampa and Velveteen Dream.
As hard as it is to pick a match of a night, this is mine.
One of the matches of the year.
I
This
loved it.
is absolutely amazing.
The
I love the
Dream-
way that the Dream uses. He's done it before when he had the match with Ricochet, and he kind of had the cross between Hulk Hogan attire and the Prince Puma attire and stuff like that. This time he comes out in black and white Hollywood, and he had a Hollywood bandana on and stuff. I'm so sold on Velveteen Dream. I think he could honestly be absolutely massive if he gets the right treatment. I
He
think.
will be.
I've said it before. Like he is my favourite wrestler in the world.
Mm.
Like he is just the top of my list. The way, like I say, it's all the nuanced stuff that's just so. It doesn't even feel rehearsed. It just feels like he's naturally gifted, being able to say the right thing at the right time, do the right thing at the right time, and he just carries himself like he's been doing it for years.
Has there been a black WWE champion recently?
Mark Henry. would be the
That's
last
all I can
one.
think of. He was the world
He
title.
wasn't.
Wasn't
No, yeah, that's the. And I saw this this was on Twitter not long back when people were saying about like The Rock wasn't. Oh, he's Samoan. He's not. You know what I mean? All this
Samoan,
kind of
half
thing.
black.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think.
Like
the
Ron
last
Simmons
proper
was in
person that-
WCW, but they don't really count that. Booker T was in WCW, but they won't acknowledge that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like the last actual WWE champion.
You can say there's never been a black man at the top of the industry.
No.
They're the very, very pinnacle at the top, and it's a criminal because the amount of great black wrestlers.
He could
there's
be
been.
that guy.
I-
He definitely could.
I-
be.
He's what is he? 23.
23 years
Yeah,
old.
23,
He's
24.
young. He's
He's 23.
young. And I mean,
So
I
much
think
potential. in him.
Triple H said
Yeah.
it's scary to see where he is now, and it's even scary to think where he will be. And I think he's bang on with that.
He's so in. I mean, we'll talk about the match as well, but he's so into his character that even afterwards, when they did a segment that was on the website where Kathy Kelly goes to interview him, and he's like, "The Dream doesn't want to talk to you," and he's like pushing her away, and I'm like, "You just had one of the matches of the year, and you're still in the right mindset to being that character and keep it going." And it's just it's so good. It's so good.
But the thing is about that is that it's his character. Like he made that character.
Yeah.
He developed that
it's
character.
insane.
It's all his own work.
And I
There's
think,
nobody pushing that on him. That is just
No.
him. And I guarantee you he'll choose the designs for his outfits and he'll decide what he comes out
And he's,
looking like and wearing and
Patrick Clark's a
main-
gay man as well, isn't he?
I don't know.
I'm sure he is.
I've
I'm
heard
sure
that,
he is.
but I
I
don't
mean,
know if he is gay or not.
there's no official thing, but he's definitely representing this. There's
He looks
some
very
element
very
of
flamboyant when he comes
LGBT
out.
element
Yeah,
there.
he's a very flamboyant wrestler, isn't
And
he?
it
He
just-
reminds me of Goldust when back in like the early like
Absolutely.
the
Yeah,
90s,
yeah.
like,
You know what?
Goldust
We've said that
Yeah.
before quite
He
a while
spins it
back.
onto the
We've
main
said
event
that. Yeah.
side, though.
Yeah.
Like
No, he does. Yeah.
He's taken that. It's a whole thing of kind of like you don't want to make a quote unquote gay character or whatever
No.
for the sake of it, but he's taken that thing of like, obviously Prince is all over it, and he's taken that thing of where like it doesn't matter what I am, this is what I am.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
superhuman.
yeah.
Prince was
I
like
am.
when you watch Prince, you didn't know Prince wasn't gay. He was one of the gayest
He was
men
everything.
of all
Prince,
time.
it's this
Flamboyantly,
pansexual,
unbelievably
breaking everything.
pansexual man. Yeah.
It's
But it just goes, like I said a minute ago,
amazing.
it just goes to show that when you're not on like the main card and you've been told what your character is and what you're gonna look like, that's what can happen if you let people choose their own kind
I
of
just
stuff.
hope that the Velveteen Dream, if he does get the call up and they do try to alter him at all, just goes, I don't need this. I'm going to be a megastar wherever I go.
Yep.
And just leaves. Because the Velveteen Dream could have that Cody Rhodes magic. He could go somewhere. He could be the top of New Japan. He could be the top of Ring of Honor. He could
He'd
be
give
the
it.
top
I
of
think he'd give it a
Impact.
go. I think he'd go to the main
I
event
think he
and
will.
see what happens. But
I can see him doing well on main roster.
I can
definitely see that.
definitely,
It's too
No,
It's
it'll
just
be
how
great.
it's handled, isn't it? Really.
it's all pot looking, isn't it? Really,
I,
it's all what mood Vince
The
is
match.
in
I
when he
mean,
sees
the
him
match
for first
itself
time.
was like you were saying. There were little nuances that he was doing, and there was little. I think he took about 5 of the sort of the old Hall of Famers moves. You know, he did.
Bret Hart.
He did the
on the
he did
table.
the figure 4 on the ring post like Bret
Yeah.
Hart did. He did the little elbow drop, then the kip up like Shawn Michaels used to do. He did the leg drops. He was doing the
regular Ric Flair
Hogan.
figure 4.
Yeah, he was doing the Hogan thing to the crowd. He did the Macho Man. I mean, with the paper
Yeah.
rainmaker was his finish anyway.
He
But
is the Macho Man elbow, isn't it?
but it was the elbow drop that he did was just unbelievable. I didn't want that match to end.
I didn't.
honestly didn't want
And
that
on
match
the
to
note
end.
of Hogan, it occurred to me that when he was in NXT, Hogan had said to him, because Hogan was a massive fan of him, he's like, you're going to be a star regardless of whether you were not NXT, you're tough enough.
It's tough enough, yeah. Hogan was one of the judges that he was on when he was...
Further proof that Hulk Hogan is not a racist. No, but it's
definitely
nice
a racist.
to see. He's
Let's just
definitely a
put that
racist, yeah, but to Patrick Clark, obviously, he's a big hero of him, and he's just like, whatever.
Evidently,
the character Hulk Hogan is a lot to us, and it's nice to see him.
It is interesting though that he's kept that character alive after finding out that he is what he said.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it? Like Tom just said, then he's separated.
No, I know.
Terry Bollea to Hulk Hogan.
No, yeah, totally.
We all know Terry Bollea's penis isn't 8 inches.
But Hulk
Hogan's is.
But even still, like if you're a black man and you're hearing something like that say those words and say those things, regardless of if he was a character or not. For me personally, I'd be like, I'm not going to have anything to do with that person anymore.
Like delicious controversy where it's like,
it is.
I'm going to take what's yours that you appropriated from my culture,
and I'm going to use it.
Your brother, and I'm going to drape it all over me and become a mega star without you.
That's right.
Like, I was tweeting through the
unreal
through the pay-per-view, and I put at the Lights Pod on Twitter, and I put that Velveteen Dream is more over in Hulk Hogan attire than Hulk Hogan was. He's more over being Hulk Hogan. I thought he was.
Now.
The pop he was getting when he came out and he looked like that, that's all anyone could talk about was, God, look at him. He looks amazing.
Good, though.
But he wasn't more over than Hulk
Hogan.
He's
got the big jacked arms. He's got the
big
python.
To me he was anyway.
To you he was.
To me he was.
But you're wrong.
That's fine. Hulk Hogan's not in my top 5, so that's fine.
Oh, he's not in mine either.
He's not in mine. He was a shit wrestler.
No, I wouldn't.
Anyway.
I wouldn't be sat here today if it weren't for Hulk Hogan.
It was a great match.
Fuck you.
I even liked the little bit with Ciampa where I don't think he hit Mauro Ranallo, or he threw something at him. I think he threw some of the paper at him from the table and stuff.
We haven't spoke about Ciampa. He was amazing.
Oh, unbelievable.
Ciampa was fantastic.
One of the best heels there is.
Just a shitbag through and through. Like when he sat on the ring apron patting himself on the back and
he went to do the sort of Hogan thing with the hand to the crowd and then just turned and like flipped someone off or something.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Both wicked guys, both wicked wrestlers.
And Mauro Ranallo as well. You mentioned him. Like he's to me the modern voice of wrestling.
To me, he's hit. For me, he's hit and miss. Sometimes he's good. Sometimes he's not.
He's better on NXT than he was on SmackDown.
He is bipolar for me. Though. So I mean,
we can't use that.
I mean, you got to have off days. Bipolar doesn't decide like you're at work.
I don't mean like that. I mean in the stuff that he says. Sometimes like
we all know
he does his. We all know he does his awful like pop culture references.
Sometimes
at times.
He
does.
Like,
he does.
He sounds like my granddad, and I'm like, that's not funny, granddad.
Yeah,
stop saying that.
He does, but he's got to a point now when you get a massive. Like a crazy spot happens in an NXT
when
match,
he starts screaming and like shouting, that's wicked. But when he's like, and he does like a forget about this is this and this, and it's like that's just you.
I agree.
You sound like you're 5 years out of date.
He's developed something with the NXT crowd where when a massive spot happens, no one shouts "Holy shit" anymore. They shout "Mamma Mia," because that's what he shouts, and that's brilliant. That's brilliant. He's got that in there.
Legacy, definitely.
I did like the Velveteen chant as well because I can't remember the last time watching wrestling where someone's actually given it a like Velveteen. Like I think back to when Foley won the belt, and they were like Foley. You just hear the crowd just kind of screaming and wooing, and you never really
when
hear
Velveteen
that
kind of
anymore.
started, he kind of came across as a bit of a heel.
Yeah.
Whereas in that match, he was clearly the babyface because everybody wanted him to win. When he hit that elbow, and then like somehow then Ciampa kicked out, and then he went to hit it as he off the top to him on the outside and missed.
You knew we were on the way.
I was like, no. I thought when he hit that elbow, I was like, this is it. He's
Those false finishes were perfect. So
absolutely
good.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on.
So good.
The main event of the night was the WarGames match.
Mint. It was so good.
I quite like these matches. I know you don't, Ethan.
I just don't like. Yeah, there's something about them.
Do you think it's a bit? I know this is daft because we're talking about wrestling. Do you think it's a bit gimmicky?
It's too long and it's too forced for me, personally. Like the whole, it doesn't start until they're all in there. And
the match beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's the whole,
Because by last night, you're 25 minutes into the match, which went for about 45 minutes before it actually started.
Which to me is too long. Like, a match shouldn't go that long if it's not actually a match, if that makes sense.
There's something where it's like the suspension of disbelief and thinking, is this a sport? You go, can you imagine in UFC if they said, right, we're going to have 5 years in the ring, but the match isn't going to start? What happens if someone gets knocked out? Do you just drag them around the ring?
Well,
you can't stand there and wait for him to come in.
You could literally
and what would happen if Pete Dunne didn't get out of the cage? Like, what would have done then? It would never have started. Like, what would they have done?
So that was the whole thing. Like when Bobby Fish puts the padlock on and throws the key away, and he was like, well,
why would you do that?
Surely
because now you can't win.
Why are they in a cage as well? Because surely if they all know the rules,
they just wait outside.
They're trying to win a match by the rules. They're not just going to murder each other. Because then they just fucking kill each other.
Yeah,
Excuse my language.
Pardon me.
I did like it. I did like how they got Pete looking really strong by making him the last one in, and then how the War Raiders guys were like, "I'm going in next."
Yeah,
and pushed him away.
I like that.
I want to throw in a gimmick idea I had when I was watching it. Right, so when they locked him in the cage, they should have had Tyler Bate come out and give her like a Hogan to the crowd, and then just pull the bars apart like an old school circus strongman while they're all going, "Big strong boy, big strong boy," just had him prise them bars apart.
No, I think it was, and again, it was wicked. I loved watching it. It was really enjoyable when the match started.
Yeah.
But the first 25 minutes were just pointless, personally, because nothing happened, because nothing can happen. And then for me, I don't like gimmicked matches. I like being there. For like an ODQ match or an Extreme Rules match. I like being there in person because it's exciting and it's fun to be around it. But for me, wrestling should be wrestling. You shouldn't have to have something like that make the match better.
I get you.
The wrestling for me should be the main focus of the match. When Pete Dunne's getting all the kendo sticks and they're getting the chairs out from underneath and they're getting the bins in and the tables.
I want one of those Undisputed Era chairs, by the way. Of
course
you
just
sell them. I'm having one of them.
Amazing.
Of course you do.
I think
I could just make one myself, to be honest.
You'd buy sand from a desert, if you could.
I think for me it kind of
take my money.
It comes back to like when I was in the prime watching wrestling. You had the Elimination Chamber, and I know it's crap now, but back in the day, the first one that Shawn Michaels won,
that was amazing.
Yeah, and it's like the old Hell in the Cell and stuff. And I watch it and I think like this is genuinely. Like I'd written an article that didn't go up because it was too late, but I'd put that, to me, the war game structure is the only structure that still seems imposing. It's the only match where you still think something crazy could happen.
They use the cage to their advantage. Where again, like in Hell in a Cell, sometimes now they just stay inside the ring for 25 minutes.
It's because the war games cage is big enough to be a threat, but not too big to just be a distraction or anything like that.
No,
like we're never going to have matches like the first Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels and Taker, or the Mankind thing,
or even the
we're
old
never
war
gonna have
games,
that anymore.
like when they were all covered in blood. And
we're not gonna have that anymore.
No, we won't. But
that's just a case of the matches outlived what is kind of really possible.
Yeah,
with this kind of audience and today's audience and stuff.
No, I did enjoy watching it. I didn't dislike it. It's just a bit too gimmicky for me personally.
I get you. I do get what you're saying.
That's just my opinion.
I do get what you're saying.
Some great spots in it though.
Unreal.
Some absolutely amazing spots in it. The kind of there's a little bit and then they touched on it where Adam Cole gets on top, and the whole rule with the War Games matches, if you get out of the cage, then you forfeited.
The whole team.
So which one again? Why did they go? Why would you go up there?
Why would you go up there in the first place? But in the first match last year when they did that, people went onto the top, and Adam Cole went up to the top, and it was like, what's he doing? Because you get out, that's it, you've lost.
Yeah.
Whereas this time they kind of built it on, he's lured Ricochet up there, and then they're gonna and then I think it was Kyle O'Reilly comes up and tries to push Ricochet over it, and I'm like, oh, actually, okay, I can see why they've kind of done that. Then that built to that huge kind of suplex power slam with with seven of them, with Ricochet still on top, and then that ridiculous sort of double backflip moonsault that Ricochet hit was just unbelievable. What I did like, they kind of did the same spot again with Kyle O'Reilly, but differently. Last year he swung for, I think he swung for Killian Dane. Oh no, for my Alexander Wolf actually. He swung for Alexander Wolf, hit the chair on the ropes, and it hit him in the head and kind of chair shot himself, which was brilliant.
So
he kind of did the same thing again this time, but he ducked out of the way himself, turned around, and then I think Rowe just kicked the chair in his face.
It was a little smart look on his face when it missed him. He's like, not this time. And he turns around and gets booed in the face.
I like that.
And you were waiting for it the entire match. Like you knew it was going to come at some point.
One thing I didn't get was when Peter was outside and the Undisputed Era were holding the door shut. It's like, surely there's 4 of you, everyone else is down. Get him in the ring so you can all butcher.
Yeah.
It's like, but they're
Again,
all holding him out.
If he doesn't get in the ring,
Yeah.
the match doesn't start.
So it's like,
Nobody could
you
win.
can't
No.
win.
You can't go
You're just
home.
going to stand there all day. It doesn't make sense.
What they should have done is have War Raiders and Ricochet laid out on the floor and them 4 going, come on then, come on.
And it
come
should
on.
have been wicked for him
And
to just
becking
walk
him
in there and just
and
start
then,
beating
yeah,
the shit
Pete
out
to
of
just
him.
walk in and
they
be
did
like,
that
let's
at
have
some
it.
point.
They had it happen
Pete
where he's on
and
his
he was
own and
just-
he's just beating
Yeah.
all into him. Yeah.
I like the spot with Kyle O'Reilly in the chain when he had it wrapped round Pete's leg, and then Pete just wraps his fingers up in it
Yeah.
and just starts
It looked mint.
ripping him.
I think it was
It's like-
intentional, but it looked wicked.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
good match. Yeah, it was brilliant. It was when the match actually started. It was like well paced. It went on time. I think from the look of things, it went about 50 minutes overall. So it was probably on time and it was all good.
It was good. Yeah.
A couple of scary moments. Bobby Fish looked like he nearly injured his knee again.
I think he has done. There's a photo that's appeared
He didn't-
afterwards where he
Did
got
he not?
carried out. Is
So
he all right?
Triple H said to somebody that's in the know that he's fine. He thought he'd done it, but I think it was just like phantom pain almost.
Yeah, like a
obviously
dead leg almost or
that's
something.
Not even that. I think
or-
it's his first match back from
Okay.
his knee
Yeah,
injury.
yeah.
So if
It's not a
you're
nice match to
when
jump
you're
straight
when
back
you're in
into.
there, I mean, regardless of what match you're in, no matter what, if you like jaw your knee, you're gonna be
Yeah,
thinking, oh
you
my god,
think
my knee's injured again. But
you've
I think he was just it was all mental more than
Yeah.
anything else, because I think he threw either Rowe or Hanson into the cage and like followed through a bit too much and like
Yeah.
bounced the back of him and fell down.
Yeah,
And you
I
heard,
think
I
I
think
know-
you,
I
you
think I
heard
know what you
O'Reilly
mean.
go, are you okay? Like, you're
Yeah.
alright. And like the referee was really close to the cage, but it turns out he was okay.
There was a little spot where the great thing about that match is they had a camera in the ring
Yeah,
in the middle of
between
it
the two
all,
rings.
and you couldn't hear them calling any spots or anything, which was great.
No.
But there was one thing I
There's
heard.
a couple of things with Adam Cole that I heard, but nothing.
Yeah, there was a thing with
nothing
Kyle
major.
O'Reilly, and I creased up watching it because it was basically a reference to another podcast that we listened to called Wrestle Me,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
hilarious, where the camera kind of focused on Kyle O'Reilly, and he just went, Roddy, Roddy,
Like,
to Roddy
Roddy.
Strong. And then all I could think about is
Yeah,
listening to
yeah,
Wrestle Me where
yeah.
they're showing him
Yeah.
Alfred
Roddy.
shouting, Roddy.
Roddy.
So Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Chasing Roddy.
And then like 5 minutes ago, because I'm still laughing in my head,
Yeah.
trying not to laugh out loud because it's 3:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
and you know I don't want to wake anybody up.
Have you
And I'm
tweeted them
trying
yet?
to laugh. No, I'm gonna,
Right, good
because I
lad.
think they need to check that bit out because that'd be funny. But
That's
It
funny.
is funny.
great and great for as UK wrestling fans and being from the UK for Pete to kind of get the pin that won it
So
all.
well
The man at the top of the
represented,
cage
yeah,
at the end. Yeah,
Brilliant.
It's wicked.
Yeah.
I love seeing Pete like anywhere that's not England. Like, it's just mint to
It's
see him.
sick.
Yeah,
It's very humbling. Like,
Yeah.
it couldn't happen to a nicer lad. Like, we've chatted to him a couple of times at shows and stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
He's the nicest guy.
nearly
And
broke
he's-
your. Was it this year in Manchester? He nearly broke your knee when he landed on you.
Yeah, I hurt quite a lot.
Yeah.
Fun,
But he
wasn't
did
He
ask
struck
you
you
if
like
your.
shit, he slapped you.
He slapped you
He
before.
folded your
Forearms.
fingers.
He broke your fingers.
You've basically had a match with him.
I can say I've wrestled.
Nah.
No, he's mint, and he's probably one of. I think it's either him or Adam Cole that's up at the top of my list currently
He's
for
up there,
wrestlers.
isn't he? He's
It's
amazing.
either the number one for me is either Pete Dunne or Adam Cole, and
Yeah.
it changes daily, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just to see him, I mean, you know, from on little 300-man rooms in Wolverhampton and stuff,
Yeah.
and then to now being main
Yeah.
event in the Staples Center in Los Angeles is just, it's wicked. Like, it's really
great.
good to see.
And in not really too long of a time.
Not very
Not at
long
all.
at all.
No.
I mean, he was
Just
he was,
this year we watched him in
He was the Progress champion.
wherever it was, Manchester maybe. It was this year,
The
or-
Progress champion. He lost it in, what are we in now, 2018. He lost it at Super Strong Style, not last year, the
2017.
year before when
Oh,
we
no,
were there. 2017.
2017, yeah.
Obviously the last one just gone. So yeah, 2018, 2017, a year and a bit. He's now the UK champion and he's held that title for the longest in modern history.
Yeah, yeah.
He's mint.
He's
Great.
he's a big deal, a really big deal.
You can see how high Triple H is, and probably Vince as well. You can see how high
They both
are.
love him.
They both love him.
rate him.
He's got the potential. Like, he's the kind of guy that'll defy the size thing. I mean, he's got the potential to be in hopefully in not too many senses a bit of a Chris Benoit. Like, he's got that intensity.
Well,
And,
maybe a little bit of a. And
In
it's,
not too
it's
many
interesting because I
senses.
think it was this time last year
In which
where
ones?
one of the
not
raw
the child murdering
tapings,
sense.
one of the raw tapings was in Manchester again last year, and Pete came out and had a match with Enzo, and
Yeah.
it was, and Kurt Angle came out and said, "I've got someone for you," and then Pete's
Pete
music,
came
yeah,
out.
everyone went crazy. But maybe it's a lot, you know, he's a similar kind of size almost to that, and he, like you say, it's not like he's not one of these big lads. He's not like Drew
burly.
McIntyre.
He's a big burly boy, but he's not very tall.
No,
I mean, yeah,
I think I'm taller
he
than
just
him, so he
looks,
must be
he
like
just looks
5'9",
like, I mean,
5'10".
he looks like a lad who's really into his gym, but
He
he's
is.
not like when you look at some of the people he's with. He's even like, you know, even Dolph Ziggler make him look like a small lad, like, you know what I mean. But I mean, everything about him is just so intense. He's like a little Wolverine.
And it comes from the guys that he wrestles as well. So people sell for him like hell. Like in the match when he stood up on his own against the 4 lads, and I think Adam Cole, and it's a spot that he does everywhere. But Adam Cole hits him with a forearm, and he kind of budges a little bit, and then Pete hits him with one, and then Adam Cole like plants his feet and just jumps backwards, like one forearm sends him flying across the ring. And I think the other 2 guys did it for him as well. And it just, even though he is quite not small, but smaller than most,
it's just the respect for him.
Everybody makes him look like he's an absolute powerhouse of a man, which he probably is, to be fair.
And they don't have to.
They don't have to.
Arguably, the Undisputed Era lads were bigger names before sort of Pete kind of came onto the scene. Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
Adam Cole was PW champion 2015 through 16.
Yeah.
Maybe into 17.
In Ring of Honor, he was in the Bullet Club for a bit.
We'll go on to talk about factions at some point. At some point, we will discuss factions, but they're not. These lads seem like the lads who care about the business and want to give back. It's not that traditional sense of like X-Pac was in the crowd. It's not a DX or an NWO thing, is it? It's a kind of we appreciate the business. Anybody who's been good to us will be good to them, and they're really about giving that kind of rub to people.
Absolutely.
So you can see that from them. But all around, what a card!
Brilliant.
What a card!
Yeah,
one of the shows of the year.
They get better and better, and they will. I'm sure at some point they will plateau and kind of find a nice level where you can like consistently expect something. I'm just worried that we every time it happens we kind of build our expectations, and then something amazing,
every time I worry it's going to be crap.
An amazing card's going to happen, but in the mindset that we're in, we're going to be like, well, that were a bit lackluster. Yeah. But if you've never seen any NXT before, you'd be like, that was the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was one of the only recent pay-per-views where I think even halfway through the Ciampa Dream match, I was like, I'm going to watch this again.
Yeah.
I could watch this match. Definitely. And I don't normally do that. I normally just watch a match and I'm like, that was good. Pick out the best bits that I remember. Yeah. But this was definitely one where I was like, oh man, that was amazing. I could watch that again.
So sick. So good.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Cheers.
You can catch us on @TheLightsPod on Twitter, @StaringAtTheLights on Instagram. We do write for rgm.press as well. Until next time, we'll see you.
Ta-ra.